Hi everyone. I decided to do a video about what I did not know about Easter and Christians as a Jehovah's Witness. For Christians, the celebration of Easter is not about chocolate eggs and bunnies. Those are secular trappings. Unlike Jehovah's Witnesses, who have a yearly memorial of denial and rejection of Christ offerings to you, Christians, on Good Friday, commemorate Jesus' crucifixion as the power of God to redeem us. On Sunday, they celebrate the resurrection of Christ, the proof of victory over death, and the guarantee of our reconciliation with God. Unlike JWs, who are distracted from the significance of the event and concentrate on the date of, celebrating the time to be held, the instrument of Jesus' death, Christians center on Christ and what he did for us, the significance of the event. This sharpening of awareness on the season, or the reason, being our sins, our need for forgiveness. Like Christmas, Easter is not a single date event. Lent, like Advent for Christmas, is weeks of preparation of mind and heart. For Jehovah's Witnesses, the memorial is a single-day event, and for most of the rank-and-file Jehovah's Witnesses, it is not an occasion for you. Because Easter is a season in the Christian calendar, you become God-conscious and Christ-centered in your meditations throughout the year. Jehovah's Witnesses tell you that Easter has pagan connections. It's about fertility rites and goddess worship. If you have always been a Jehovah's Witness, do you really know what Christians practice, celebrate, and who they worship? For 30 years, I have been church-going now, and I have never witnessed anything about goddess worship or fertility rites associated with Easter. Jehovah's Witnesses rule out Easter because of pagan association. Why is the organization so selective, though, about which pagan connections are allowed and which make you a non-Christian? Why do Jehovah's Witnesses allow their members to wear wedding rings, to have bridesmaids at weddings, to use calendars? Many of the days and months are named after pagan gods. Why do they trot out the same handful of references about Easter? What don't they tell you? For example, God's people, Israel, kept seasonal festivals. Some were for Thanksgiving, regarding blessings of crops, harvests. Some were remembrances of great deliverances. But all the nations around them also kept similar seasonal festivals at the same time. The same season, they had their festivals. Who owns the days and the seasons? So, one other point about that is that they came first. It was the surrounding nations that kept festivals at given times that were later the same seasons that Israel was keeping festivals. Some other things about what they don't tell you. I wanted to just read to you from 2 books on this subject. The first one is by E.O. James, Seasonal Feasts and Festivals. I'll just show you the cover of the book. This is the book. All right. Now he is one of the world's most famous experts on comparative religion. So just wanted to read you a little piece about Christian celebration of the resurrection. That it was on the first day of the week that the resurrection occurred is not in dispute in the biblical narratives, and it was in commemoration of this signal event that in Christian tradition Sunday became the festal holy day of worship, while Friday was observed as the weekly fast in memory of the crucifixion. The Jewish Christians continued to keep Sabbath on Saturdays in the prescribed manner, in addition to the weekly Sunday assembling together for the breaking of the bread, the Eucharist. Exhortation, conference, and social intercourse. As St. Paul recognized, Sabbath observance was not incumbent on the Gentile converts. And when the church ceased to be a Jewish sect, it soon abandoned it altogether. Attention centered upon the incarnate life of Christ in Palestine and its messianic setting. Therefore, it was his birth, death, resurrection, and ascension, and the other outstanding episodes recorded in the New Testament narratives that constituted the principal commemorations in the Christian liturgical year. Then under festivals, the Christian Passover. The starting point, the principal feast in this sequence being the annual commemoration of the resurrection as the central event in the drama of redemption. Even Christmas was said to be celebrated only as a preparation for Easter. Its Paschal associations made it the connecting link with the Jewish calendar. Whether it was Good Friday and the crucifixion or Easter Day and the resurrection that the Pascha commemorated. Sometimes the term was extended to cover Holy Week and even the whole of Lent as the preparation for Passiontide and its sequel on the third day. Very much as the Jewish Passover, as the spring festival included the Exodus, the sacrifice of the firstling of the flock, the slaying of the firstborn of children, the agricultural feast of unleavened bread. Clement of Alexandria equated it as the first day of the 50 days of rejoicing for the victory over sin and death with the Jewish prototype, connecting the rising of Christ with the dead on the 16th of Nisan, with the first day of the week of harvest on which the priest offered the first sheaf according to the law. So the connection with Passover, the Jewish celebration, and this new celebration of the resurrection that was the extension of what was done by Israel. And now the celebration was in connection with Christ's resurrection. Another book that gave me insight that I didn't have as a witness. I never read any of the church fathers when I was a Jehovah's Witness. This book is called A Dictionary of Early Christian Beliefs. This is it's edited by David Bercot, who happens to have been a witness in his younger years. And he did a lot of research on the early church fathers and compiled this wonderful book, a reference guide to more than 700 topics discussed by the early church fathers. So the witnesses give you references that I think would be misleading to you, because they seem to make you think that the celebration of Christ's resurrection wasn't done in the early church period, that it came and was imposed by the church many years later, hundreds of years later. But he makes a note in here that I think we should read. The term Easter was not used, but the early church did worship centered around the remembrance of the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus. But they didn't use the word Easter until later. But they were celebrating Easter. They just weren't calling it Easter. So this is the point that I wanted to read to you in his section on Easter. This first little paragraph I thought was very noteworthy. The day that English-speaking Christians referred to as Easter was called Passover, Pascha in Greek, by the early Christians. To avoid confusion with the Jewish Passover, Pascha is rendered as Easter in this work. The term Easter did not begin to be used, however, until centuries after the Council of Nicaea. But the references to the celebration of the resurrection are dated, and I'll just give you the dates. I won't read you the quotes. You should get this reference work. It's a wonderful work. But references to the celebration of Easter is from 170, 155, 180, 190, 205, 211, 213, 240, 248, 262, 270, 390. So there's more than one for some of these dates, but those are the dates that are given. So you can recognize that this was done by early church people, the celebration of Easter, the celebration of the resurrection. Okay, so I'm going to link to a couple of videos about calendar, Christian calendar. This first one is from a series that I was reading from the Screwtape Letters, which is a fictional work of C.S. Lewis describing the problems that face someone who becomes a believer. But it's done in a way in which a senior devil is talking to a junior devil in how to mess up the Christian. So it's called Novelty is Cult's Appeal. Jehovah's Witnesses' divine dates and new light can't replace God's same old calendar. And the second one is one that David did, going through history of the church. So it's Christian and Jewish calendars, Easter and Passover, Holy Week, Pentecost, Lent, Epiphany, and Christmas. So it's one of his history of the church videos, La Tourette. Thanks for watching.